Hawksee and Jacobs here on talkSPORT, and joining us now to look ahead to Manchester United Lyon tomorrow night as she's on co-commentary duty, and indeed a new awards ceremony in the world of women's football. It's the former England player Lianne Sanderson. Hi, Lianne.
Hello, guys. You all right?
Yeah, we're not so bad. We'll start off with the awards. This is the Festival of Women's Football Awards ceremony next Wednesday. Tell us a bit more about that.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. Our very own Shabana Hearn will be presenting it as well, which is going to be amazing. It's the first ever one, and I think, you know, we have a lot of other ones like Football for Change. I work with them as well, and they're fantastic. But I think for this, you know, Festival of Women's Football, it's all about the grassroots. It's all about giving people awards and a recognition for what they deserve.
Yeah, so I saw in the notes we got for it, says a rigorous, fair judging process celebrating the best in women's football.
Previously, has it not been?
Yeah, I mean, that's quite interesting, isn't it? So, I mean, I take it you've got a whole slew of judges who know the women's game and can make a considered opinion about it.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those ones, similar to what Annie just said. You'd think that would be how it's always been. And I'm not by no means saying that people got given awards handed on a plate, but we've all been there. We've been to award ceremonies. It always divides opinions when people are up for these awards. And you think, oh, how have they won that one? Everybody's thinking they should win. Look at Vinny Jr., you know, at the Ballon d'Or when he didn't win. Everybody was like, how is this possible? And Rodri won. So yeah. I think people that know me know that I don't partner with things that are not like, you know, doing things in the way that they're supposed to. So what I mean by that is that it'll be a fantastic night of celebration, but also I think what draws me to something like this is about the grassroots and about giving people recognition, because I think women's football, you know, we obviously know it's elevated in the last few years, but I think there's a tendency for people to kind of be left behind that kind of paved the way. I hate being called a trailblazer and all this paving the way stuff, but at the same time, it's a reality. You know, I'm happy that the Lionesses are doing fantastically well now. People say to me a lot, oh, Lianne, I bet you wish you were still playing. No, honestly, guys, I don't. When I see them running fitness at the end of the game, those players that haven't played, I'm like, I'm happy I'm on the other side of it now. Yeah. But again, you know, I think it's a fantastic celebration, and I'm delighted that Shaban's hosting it as well. And, you know, it's just a way for everybody to come together and celebrate incredible people, and not just women as well. You know, there's a lot of men and people in sport that have kind of elevated the women's game as well. So I think that also has to be said, because I think sometimes there's a tendency for people to just think it's all about women, which it is. But there are also some incredible, you know, men that have helped me in my career as well.
So it's going to be next Wednesday.
And the grassroots is so important, isn't it, as well? Because it's not just about becoming a professional, it's about playing football and enjoying football, isn't it, I think?
Yeah, definitely. And that's my bread and butter, you know, growing up, playing around the streets of Southeast London, you know, with the boys. And I think we became famous on our street because every time a car come along, they knew we were playing there. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? And I think that's what almost made me the player I was. And I think I was way ahead of the time based upon being able to play with the boys and, you know, playing street football and those types of things. So I think the grassroots level over the recent years, I think we've forgotten about the grassroots. And what I mean by that is we know in the men's game now, money has taken over. We're talking ticket prices. I know it's a whole other conversation, but I think, you know, the local person that can no longer go to games anymore. And I think, you know, grassroots is such an important, you know, thing. And I think that there's a tendency we've moved away from in recent years.
We've got another ACL injury in women's football. Mary Fowler of City got injured against United in the FA Cup at the weekend.
City have had so many injuries this year.
So this is another ACL. And I mean, we know the research goes on because there is an issue, of course, and it's going to be very interesting. I mean, there's an ongoing study into why there's so many in women's football. Obviously a blow for her, and it's such a shame.
Yeah, it is. And I had Stephen Smith on my show yesterday, the women's football show from Kitman Labs, and he works in America and in England. And unfortunately, I think the research that's happening now, we've seen, you know, Beth Mead, Leah Williamson go over and do some stuff with FIFA. I don't think it's going to come into fruition for about 5 to 10 years. Yeah. I think, you know, every single time I do a game, guys, there's at least, you know, every weekend there's 2 players doing their ACLs. And it's almost like when I was playing, there was just one person. And when one person did it on my team, it was like an anomaly, like no one else did. And it was like, oh my God, what are we going to do? At that time, it was almost like a career-ending injury. Thankfully, we have more sports science now. But I'm just like, I'm a bit impatient. People will know me anyway. But I just want to see what's happening now. You know, we keep having these players go down with these injuries constantly. You know, and I think if it was in the men's game, if you saw Declan Rice, Harry Kane, those types of players, and it was happening to this, it was happening so often, I think there'd be more conversation. So, you know, hopefully the research, and everybody can kind of come together. And I just don't think it's going to change for the next few years, unfortunately.
The season's coming to a head now. Important time in the Women's Champions League with 2 English sides.
This weekend, yeah.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting, isn't it? Because we need to make that breakthrough. I think Arsenal won it years ago, but it's been some time, hasn't it?
Alan, they're up against 2 very good sides. So how hopeful are you that we're going to see at least one English side in the final?
Yeah, I mean, I hope so. Andy flippantly said they won it years ago. I was part of that team, Andy, so I'm going to milk that.
Yeah, sorry, I didn't mean it in that way.
As much as I can. But all jokes aside, I think that, I'd love for Arsenal to get there. I'm doing both semi-finals and the final in Lisbon, and it would be so amazing if Arsenal could get there as a former Arsenal player that's won it. But I think we can't look away from Barcelona and Lyon. I think Chelsea are in fantastic form. Sonia Bonpastor's done an incredible job. They have the strongest squad, I would say, but looking at Barcelona and Lyon, it's not going to be easy. I think we have a tendency to forget about those teams that are historically some of the greatest teams ever going into these games. But I think Chelsea are the best equipped I've seen them when it comes to strength and depth at this moment in time. But they're certainly going to be really good ties. Barcelona always seem to get the better of Chelsea last year in the semi-final and in the final previously. So we'll have to wait and see. And
finally, you're going to be alongside Crookie and Hugh for the game against Lyon tomorrow evening at Old Trafford. Well. Anana's back, says Amrim. You pleased about that?
Sorry guys, I lost my connection. Really. Honestly, I've just seen that Xerxes out for the season as well with a hamstring injury. So it's like, I don't know. I think Onana, I do like the idea that Ruben took him out. Sometimes you've got to take people out the firing line, let them regroup. Onana just hasn't been good enough. No doubt in that. He doesn't need me to tell him. It's pretty obvious he hasn't been good enough since he's come in. And I think you look at Manchester United right now, the game at the weekend against Newcastle, it's just painful at this moment in time. And you look at Højlund, I feel for him because I've not been in the same position as him where you go that long without scoring goals. But when you're a centre forward that isn't scoring goals, your confidence is on the floor.
Sure.
And he keeps coming off in the 60th minute, and he isn't good enough. And what I see, when Darwin Núñez went in at Liverpool, you could see, okay, there's a bit of a player in there. He still hasn't come into fruition really in his 3rd season at Liverpool. But you look at Højlund, and to me, he's never going to be at the level that Manchester United need. And that leads me onto the recruitment at Man United, but that's a whole other story.
We'll hear from you tomorrow. Enjoy the awards. Thanks, Liam.
Nice one, guys.